Welcome to week 5. Just a reminder that week 5 starts a new week, and our cultural diversity lesson plan is due today at the start of this week. Many of you were confused with the syllabus, and I apologize for that. If you think about a traditional class, if we met every Monday, the project would be due in class today, and this is why your projects were due last night at midnight. Moving into this week's chapter, though, we're getting into the heart of the material of becoming a teacher of literacy. And today we're talking about literacy of learners that are about ages 3 to 5. Our story of the week is a story called How to Make an Apple Pie and See the World. I'd like you to listen to the story on the right and brainstorm how to use this story on your weekly literature sheet. And the sheet will go in the Dropbox for participation points as usual. I chose this story this week because it integrates places around the world, and that's a nice way to look at the cultural diversity in your classroom. Also, its theme is apples, or one of its themes, and September is a great time to do an apple theme in your classroom. Once you have read the story and done your brainstorm, you can check out our author bio and some book activities. And then this is the link to my activities that I've done with our book this week. Our message this week is full of information and also has a game in it. And I just wanted to stop and share with you that when I do a daily message in my own classroom, we always had a game to do. And today's game is a sharing game, and we're using a giant die. And this is something we could do on a smart board or with a big foam dice in the classroom. And it talks a little bit about how you'd play the game in the classroom. For your own game, you're going to read the blue boxes at the top. And these are stories of 2 little girls. One is named Hannah and one is named Irma. And I want you to pretend that you are the teacher of these little girls. Then, after you've read the story, you'll click on this die, and it will open a link, and when the link opens, you'll roll the die on the screen. And whatever number you receive on your die, you'll read the question in blue, and you will answer it on our Padlet board. And to get to the Padlet board, you'll click on our Here link. You can do this as many times as you like, but you only need to record the answer to one of your questions. The next slide is about how literacy develops in children, and there are 5 phases of literacy. Just like we learned last week, we have an inquiry-based strategy when we teach cognitively and academically diverse students. And so I'm going to have you do a sorting activity to see both what you know with your prior knowledge and also to get you thinking and listening throughout our presentation and tuning into the stages that we'll introduce right now. To do our sort, you need to click right here on the sort button. This will open up a handout. You will need to print the handout. And then there's 3 parts that you will sort. You will sort the stage of learners, the age range of learners, and the description of the level or the stage. I think it's probably easiest to put your age range in chronological order, then add your stage, and then add your descriptors, but it's completely up to you. When you have your sort the way you'd like it, take a photograph of it and save it for your participation Dropbox. Then click where it says Here, and this is a great handout. This handout will give you the answers to the sort, so print it and save it, because it also gives you what information as to what teachers should be doing at each stage and also what parents and families can do to enhance learning at each stage. And this is something you can pass on to parents in a newsletter form or in a handout you could send home to them. So it's a great resource. Next, we'll talk about developmentally appropriate practices, and I'm sure you've heard that term before. Read this slide, and then when we move into the next slide, you're going to take a little quiz to see what you know about the development of children that are in that 3 to 5-year-old range. The question is, which of the characteristics of preschool age children do not belong? So here are our skills, and I'd like you to cross out, just mentally on the screen, any that you think do not belong as a characteristic of a preschooler. When you think you know, I'll have you go to the next slide. I'm going to breeze right past that slide so you don't see the answers, but they're over to the right of the sort. On the next slide will be a speaker button. Click on that for some information. All right, next slide is learning through play. Read the information about the 2 types of play in the yellow box, and then we have 2 great articles that I'd like you to skim through. The Essentials of Early Literacy Instruction is on your left, and there is an article in Early Childhood Today that's published by Scholastic, and these will give you great ideas for working with children in a developmentally appropriate way. One of the most fun types of play for literacy and young learners is dramatic play, which is a form of pretend play. Listen to the speaker, and it will give you instructions and information. Then watch the video in the gray box. And finally, choose 2 of our play centers at the bottom in blue. You're welcome to choose more than 2, but they will share with you some dramatic play centers in action. After you've seen those in action, click on our Pinterest button, and that will take you into a Pinterest board full of other dramatic play center ideas. And last, you will click on our sharing board, and you will share your favorite dramatic play center idea. Could be something you've seen here today or on the Pinterest board, or something that you've encountered on your own. And after you share the kind of play center, I'd like you to list 3 things a child would learn by going to that dramatic play center. And that will be on a Padlet board. Just a reminder, you are putting together a Pinterest board for dramatic play this week, and you'll need 10 ideas, so you might want to collect them while you're in there working with this slide. Building on all these play experiences, we can use the strategy we learned last week for linguistically diverse students called the language experience approach. Click on the speaker button, and I'll explain to you how you can use that in many forms in your classroom. This slide, I'd like you to read through. There is no speaker, but there is a link right here in white, and this is a link to a handout that you can give families and parents on their own, or you can put in a newsletter and give you some information on how to build that literate environment at home. This slide may help you answer some questions also for the discussion thread this week. Children can read more than books. This slide will go over other things children can read and discuss with you environmental print, which is one of the first things our young kiddos learn to read. So click on the link button here, and this will take you to an article and also a place for many resources on environmental print. We now will move into pre-writing stages. The speaker will explain to you everything you need to know on this slide. And on this slide, we'll move past pre-writing into kid writing and the process of invented spelling. Read your gray and yellow boxes. Watch the video here. And then we have 2 resources below. Grab the speaker button and listen to what I have to say. And last, click on our kid writing book for a great website to learn from. And that's it for information this week. We have this week everyone participating in the weekly discussion thread and posting 2 comments that you've read. How can teachers and parents be developmentally appropriate in teaching early literacy to very young learners? Again, teachers and parents are the population we're thinking about this week. For next week, to finish up by Sunday night, click on this link to take you to a weekly poll. I'm going to use that data in our presentation next week. The earlier you can do that, the better. So if you at all can possibly do it, get that in way before Sunday. And then on D2L for next week in the week 6 folder, I'd like you to read 1 of 3 articles that we'll be using. Also, skim chapter 5 in the textbook. You don't have to read it real carefully, but skim it so you're ready for next week's presentation. And last, make that dramatic play pin board for early learners. If you're in the virtual only class, for your participation points this week, you need to post the weekly literature brainstorm for the apple pie story and also the picture of your phases of literacy sort. And also within our presentation, we had 2 or 3 Padlet boards that you linked into to share information, and I'll be checking those to see how you're doing on and to check your learning as well. So both of those will earn you your participation points for the week. Again, this is a fun week. This is a great age of learners. They're fun, and as a teacher, you can have a blast having them learn in developmentally appropriate ways. So enjoy our presentation this week.